right, so we're back with another interview episode of the MK Productions podcast, a little mini-sode. And Kristen, you are back at it again with an interview for a new science fiction film called Ultrasound. Is that correct?
Yes, we got to speak with the director and one of the stars of the film Ultrasound, which is going to be available on demand starting Friday, March 11th. So this is a very unique film. It's not your average sci-fi horror film. It's very unique, I must say. Let's get into what the film is about. After his car breaks down, Glenn spends one hell of an odd night with a married couple, setting into motion of a chain of events that alter their lives, plus those of several random strangers. And the major thing is about this film actually had the chance to be shown at Tribeca Film Festival in the midnight section.
I did see that.
Yeah, and there's like a whole bunch of people starring and involved, like Rainey Qualley, who is the sister to Maid star and Andy McDowell's daughter. The film also stars Chelsea Lopez and Breeda Wool. And today we got to speak with Bob Stephenson. This interview is actually split into two parts. So the first half you're going to hear is Bob, and then it's going to cut right into the interview with the director, Rob Schroeder. Nice guy. He's worked on a couple short different films, but this is his first feature film debut. And this film actually kind of has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. So if this doesn't strike your interest, then I don't know what does. It's got science fiction based on a comic. What else could you ask for more? So let's kick it off to the interview. And guys, thank you for listening. Mac, where the good people can find us if they want to know more about you and I.
They can find us at our Instagrams. Of course, we have the podcast Instagram, the MK Productions podcast. We have your Instagram as Miss Filmingo and my Instagram at Mac Movie Reviews. They can also find our YouTube channel under Mac Movie Reviews, and they can find us on any streaming platform for podcasts. Just type in the MK Productions. You can give us a listen.
And to listen to even more celebrity, director, actor interviews, just click on the playlist that's available on the YouTube channel.
Yes,
this is not the only interview we had.
We have a lot of them.
Yeah, we're getting more and more and more. So, guys, take a listen to those, and we will see you in the next time. For now, let's take it up to Bob Stephenson. So it's so nice to meet you, Bob. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, Christine. Thank you.
All right. I just want to thank you for letting me have the chance to speak with you. And first of all, congratulations with the film. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm so happy it's coming out now. It's been a long ride. So, yeah.
Do you have that sense of relief now? Like that anxiety is now over? Like people now can go out to the theaters or just watch it and see it? Like, how do you feel like as an actor when you have a project released out into the world? What's that feeling like?
Yeah, it's incredible because the worst is having. When can I see it? Where can I see it? Where's it going to be? Was it going to stream? Is it, and you're like, I don't know anything. I don't get updates or information for the most part. I'm in Top Gun 2, and that's been almost 3 years. Everyone keeps asking me. I'm like, May. It's May now. That's what I think.
That's so exciting. I can't wait because I'm a huge Top Gun nerd. I actually was a Top Gun pilot for Halloween. And if anybody knows, it's one of my favorite movies. So, but I want to ask you about that. I want to talk to Ultrasound with you. So how did you get involved with this project? And did you know or get any familiar with Conor's work? Because I was doing my research and he's a unique illustrator and writer.
Yeah, he's incredible. I knew nothing about him. And the director, contacted my manager, and then they said, they offered me the part. They said they really want me to do this, and there wasn't very much time. I think it was like a week and a half before they were supposed to start shooting. So it was kind of like, ready, here we go. And then he sent me, the graphic novels to look at and read and stuff. But I read as much as I could, but I really didn't have time to digest all of it with only like a week ahead of time. So, I hung out with him a bit. He's great. He's super smart. But yeah, I just love the story. I read the script and I was like, oh, this is great. This could go anywhere. So, yeah.
Were you kind of like expected, like unaware what you were about to jump into in terms of the story? Because the narrative structure is really unique here when I was watching it throughout, and I was really questioning it. Did you have any idea what was going on?
Oh
Or
yeah,
were you in for the ride?
yeah, we constantly had to ask questions. I mean, and even when you think you know it, Rob, the director, would be like, no, it's not quite that. I'm like, oh man, I thought I had it. I was trying to figure it out. But
How did you prepare in terms of getting into the role? Because you have a really unique, interesting character. And I love the line that really stands out where, you tell Glenn to go in to sleep in the room with Sydney in the film. So I was just like, wait, what? Like, this is
yeah,
like unexpected. Like, how did you prepare to get into this crazy role? Because we get to know you more once the film progresses. So how did you
yeah,
prepare?
yeah. The creep factor is definitely in that scene. Because that whole scene is, it's pretty deep. It tells a lot about, my character. He's depressed. He has to take his meds, and he's fighting with his lady, and I mean, it just keeps getting stranger and stranger in that thing. That was when we shot that at night. That was a long night, but because there were big scenes. It got edited quite a bit, but I think it was like I want to say like a 6-page scene. It was a lot of
Oh, dang.
dialogue. So, but it was really challenging. It was great. I loved it. And Rob was, really reassuring, and so there wasn't really any preparation other than, we didn't have any time to really rehearse except before shooting. I mean,
Mhm.
right? I mean, a couple times before. So, Rob was really good at giving direction and just kind of like without being too exacting. He's like, no, this is like you know where you're going. Just go this way a little bit, and he'll nudge you this way and that way.
So, and this was Rob's first like feature length film. What was it like working with him on his first like feature length piece? Because I was looking at the filmography he's done, and it's quite amazing. So,
Yeah. It was great. I mean, I wouldn't have known it was his first. I did know, but I'm lucky enough that I've worked a lot over the years, and he was incredibly professional and totally prepared, and he had to know. I mean, we constantly were asking him questions, so the amount of he had to have answers for most of it, and so he's done his homework on the script, and where he wants us to go with it, and that, and, because like with my character, I'm kind of manipulating the whole thing.
right.
But then there's other people that say, "Are you? Are you sure you're not being manipulated as well?" So,
Yeah, that's what I was also thinking.
So yeah.
So we have a lot of young audiences who listen to my show and everything. So what is the best advice you can give to a young actor, producer, or writer who really wants to get into the business and especially start their own first feature since you got to work with Rob?
Yeah. I tell you, I mean, there's a lot more avenues now than when I did it. I started as a production assistant, just working on sets. That was kind of my film school because I didn't go to
Oh,
film school.
same.
Yeah. And then I met a lot of directors while I was doing that. And then, was doing my own writing, and then they started asking me to audition. So I did a like inside out, I wasn't like bartending and then trying to like go to auditions mostly. I was like actually on set. So my route is a little different, but I tell everybody I do everything. Like unless it's really like, I mean, for free, I'll work for free. I'll work for,
Mhm.
if it's good, I do it. Like I'm not too big for my britches, and it's like, cause you never know what's going to happen. It's like, I'm doing this animated series right now for HBO Max. It's called Scavenger's Reign.
Oh, yeah.
I did that 4 years ago. We did the pilot, and they asked
Mhm.
me to do it, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then all of a sudden before Christmas, they're like, boom, we got picked up. I was like, what?
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So we're recording now, but you just never know. Those things, they just turn into something, who knows?
Okay, that's amazing. And then I have one final question. Since this is the most strange horror sci-fi film I've ever seen, what is one word to sum up this film and get audiences interested?
Oh man, shoot. Uh, Man, that's a tough one. I don't know. One word. I mean, I would. Uh, it's a mind bender. I guess.
Yeah, that's what I said. I saw it, but thank you so much for your time and best
Absolutely.
of luck. And I can't wait to see you in all your future projects. And I will be looking also out for the HBO Max series. That's
All
gonna
right.
an animated series. So best of luck to you. And I can't wait to watch Ultrasound again. So
Nice meeting you, Kristen.
it was such an honor to meet you. Hi, Rob. It's so nice to meet you.
Hey, Kristen, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not bad.
How does it feel, first of all, to relax now, get some anxiety off your chest, knowing that a much broader, wider audience is now going to finally see this film?
That's a thrill.
That's a good way to put it. So
Yeah.
I want to get into the mindset of how you put this project together. How did you become aware of Conor's work? Because I was doing my research on the film, and Conor's a unique artist and creator. So how did you get to connect?
I have a local comic shop called
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's the Secret Headquarters. And I just love going there. I love picking up books and discovering things. Sometimes I'll go, with something in mind, but most of the time I just go there and just see what's new. And in 2015, I picked up book 1 of Conor's Generous Bosom series.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd gotten the second book. It took a while. It was like 6 months or a year later. And that's when I really got interested in what was going on with this story. And I reached out to Conor and found out that there would be 4 books. He was interested in adapting it. He wanted to write the screenplay himself. So he did that. He came to LA for a week. We worked together. And then we had a script, and I was able to, get going on trying to get it produced. And then book 4 only just recently came out. So he was basing book 3 and 4 off of his screenplay, essentially.
Okay.
So it was kind of a weird process that we got into.
So since the 4th one was just released, do you see this as a potential sequel? Or do you explore potential properties?
I would love for that, because I do think that there's a lot of story you could tell with these characters and this, technology and setup. Those 4 books have been published as a single volume, so that's going to come out in May.
Okay, sweet. So now that you were working on this film really pushes the narrative boundaries, and I just want to know, was it difficult to construct that? Because you really have to really focus in on this film. And what was that process like, figuring all those puzzle pieces out to make it a really intriguing story?
Yeah, the term nested narrative or kind of came up, and, the idea that different characters have different realities, and it was interesting to track all of that for the characters and the actors and everyone to understand where their character was kind of in reality. But what ultimately saved us, I think, was that for each character, they just played each scene as if it was just a regular old scene. And then kind of all of the shifting realities became secondary. And what was principal was, these 2 people talking. So that kind of helped, I think, kind of guided, but it was complicated.
That's a good way to say it. But one of the things I really, really liked I love first-time directors. I love seeing their works. What was it like directing your first feature film? Were you nervous at all?
I was nervous. I feel like, it's a plunge, like you're jumping off a cliff, because like once it's happening, there's no turning back. There's a certain point where it's like, all right, now it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you just hope that you prepared enough. You hope that, you have the skills and abilities to do it. But then, you're doing it. You're like, whatever, learning to do it while you're doing it, and it's exciting. And it's you've got a big team, so I think that was a big challenge. And part of it is that although you may have all the enthusiasm in the world, and this applies to directing anything, short or commercial, or if you're the director, you're the most passionate person on set, and you should be. But it's a challenge to keep everybody on the same page and excited, and hopefully some of your excitement is contagious and people enjoy coming to work every day.
Yeah, 1000%. And this movie does spark an interesting conversation. So what is the most interesting conversation you had with other audience members who saw this film?
The most interesting conversation. I mean, a lot of people like talking about how it relates to what the world we live in right now. And when we started this project, it was prior to the presidential election in 2016. And I think a lot has changed kind of since then.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah, but fortunately, the story still seems current, relevant. Or unfortunately, I don't know.
Yeah. And then I was reading a couple of other interviews you had done and other reviews about it. And people actually have compared this to Nolan and David Cronenberg inspirations. How does it feel to get that recognition? And what other filmmakers inspire you to work on these projects?
Well, I'd love the films from those guys. But I don't know. For me, it went in, I had a lot of inspiration from some photographers too, like Todd Hito.
Okay. Yeah.
Does like night photography, and that's always been a fascination. And I think those striking images are beautiful, graphic novels. But yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I don't know. The short film La Jetée comes to mind. I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of movies and tried to get ready, as best I could, because it was a long process. So yeah, there's plenty of inspiration everywhere.
And then like we had previously talked about, this was your first time directing, and what is the kind of advice you'd like to share with our audience for somebody who's going to start like working on their first feature film or just creator?
I mean, as many days as you can get on set, whether it's your set or somebody else's, is very important. I've produced a lot in addition to directing, so I've learned from other directors and their good choices, bad choices. I think it's important to create a list of priorities, if for every scene, or certainly for the whole movie, because you're not going to get everything you want. So resources are going to be limited. So if the most important thing is cinematography and amazing camera work, then spend your money there.
Yeah.
But if you want a killer location, prioritize that. Or maybe you want an actor that's more expensive, then make that your number one priority. But you're not going to get it all. So you might as well just start listing it in order of what's most important to you. Or maybe more days, is better.
All right.
That should always be, rushing is never good.
And for our last and final question, how would you sum up Ultrasound in one word? I just talked to Bob recently and he said it was mind-bending. So
mind-bending is pretty good. I trust Bob. I don't know. One word is tough.
Or it could be like a word. We'll make it like 3 words.
3 words. I don't know. It's mind-bending is a good one. I think it is definitely a mind bender.
All right, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I can't wait to recommend audiences to Ultrasound, and I hope our paths cross again. And I really want to know more about that comic book shop in the future, and hopefully I'll get to visit.
Yeah, if ever you come to LA, you should check it out. It's in Silver Lake, the secret headquarters.
Sweet. All righty. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Kristen. I appreciate all the great questions.
Thank you.